Awkward silence again?
Yeah.
Is that what we start out that way?
Well, I was just trying to think of something completely random to say, and nothing really came to mind. So, I guess, in the absence of random, we've got Jim.
Excellent.
Hey, Jim.
Hey, and good evening. Welcome to the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net, the most interesting net on two-way radio. Tonight, we are live from Studio Vanguard, and we are linked with the following repeaters.
Tonight we're linked in with Flagship, Buckhead, Toccoa, Madonna, Rome, Noonan, Cades Cove, Watkinsville, Columbus, Zebulon, Fort Mountain, Mount Roosevelt, Lookout Mountain, White Oak Mountain, Chattanooga, Georgetown, and Ottawa.
We have a Madonna repeater.
Madonna.
Impressive.
Madonna.
Is it like a Virgin?
Oh no, that's not it.
No,
that's
it's older
the
but
link.
still working.
That's a Madonna link, not a
Madonna.
No, it's a repeater. The McDonough repeater.
Madonna.
But yeah,
not Madonna.
Madonna.
I thought I heard you say Madonna.
Oh, well,
It's all about music with
She's
him.
nice too, I guess.
Don't know her, but hey.
Right.
Excellent. Hey, well, this net takes place every other Thursday evening at 7:30. I would like to thank all of you who have made the North Georgia GMRS the most expansive and active GMRS network in the country. Your net control tonight is
Atlanta 946, WQIR 514. My name is Justin.
This is WSAM 231, Atlanta 180, and my name is Jim.
And this is Atlanta 1150, WRZV 748. Tony.
And this is WSAL 368, Atlanta 263.
I am Ed, WRQ G806, Atlanta 557.
And I am Atlanta 250. My name is Dana, WRWK 895.
Excellent. Hey, and on the net, you can talk about your day's activities, radio equipment, or anything else you think we'd like to hear. This is a family-based network, so we encourage you to get your family involved. Guest check-ins are welcome from anyone with a valid FCC call sign. If you are checking in on YouTube, please include your FCC call sign. If you have one, your first name and location. Once the floor is open, it is permissible to address other members of the net by name or tactical unit number. Your FCC call sign is only required when you sign in and when you sign out of the net. Also, you can tune in on the YouTube channel, follow along, or even better, tune into the YouTube channel and watch after the net so that you can see what you sound like to us here in Vanguard.
You can see what they sound like?
Well, you actually can see what you sound like if you're watching the replay on Vanguard. You can't see the sound.
I've always thought about that line.
Yeah.
You can see
it is
see
awkwardly
what you sound like.
And it's actually not how the script's written because I got twisted up on myself there. So
Can you hear what you look like?
Well, you might. I don't know.
Yeah, if
you
people
want
talk
to,
about it
though?
enough. I don't know if you would want to.
Let's break. Hey, that reminds me of a song I used to listen to quite a lot that was called Smell the Color 9. Do you remember that song?
I do not.
Smell the
Smell the Color 9.
What did you listen to?
Let's find out.
How old were you?
How old was that, Julie?
Don't forget, this was Indiana.
Hey.
So,
Hey. Back off now. I know.
trying to pull the car back out of the ditch, you can get on YouTube and you can hear how you sounded while you were speaking to us here in Vanguard. Also, be sure to leave a comment and let you know you were watching and give us a like, because these interactions mean the most to help us grow, help our new channel grow. Tonight's topic: Part 90 and 95 radios in GMS. In GMRS.
We got to get all those letters in there.
All those?
If only we had a graceful interlude to moving Jim out of the chair and moving Julie into it. But
Soon. With the newer studio, we'll be a lot smoother.
yeah, Jim jumped out of that chair like like he was on fire.
I think he was thinking about going home. Was really what he was thinking about doing.
Well, we've seen that before too. Richard's not here tonight, but
Exactly.
But we have seen that before too. So, Julie, what do you?
Hi,
feel,
Julie.
What do you feel like tonight?
Hi.
Do you want ID?
Yes.
Does somebody have the button down, or do I need to worry about
The red
that?
light's on, so I think the button's down.
Oh, awesome. This is Atlanta 947. My name's Julie. How's that? WQYR 514.
There you go. You
All
covered all the
right.
bases.
So what do we want to do first? Do we want to
Yes.
do... Yes. All
Whatever
right.
you feel like doing.
Whatever I feel like doing. Well,
Julie's show now.
okay. I think we should go ahead and jump right into announcements. So... for those of you who have missed it last week and haven't bothered to get on YouTube, we're going to give it to you again. So here we go, maybe. All right. Good evening, everyone. Again, this is Atlanta 947, WQYR 514. My name's Julie with this week's news and announcements live from Studio Vanguard. Tune in tomorrow night for the North Georgia GMRS Network's Friday Night at 9 Simplex Challenge on the Monument Repeater. Tune in to learn about emergency comms and the use of simplex frequencies. Also, beginning at 7:15, the North Georgia Amateur Radio Association Friday Night at 9 2-meter simplex challenge on the N4KHQ repeater. Come test your radio's reach in the world of simplex. And don't miss Saturday night sessions. Let me break. A ham radio talk group with your host Dana as he talks about your favorite HT antenna, and why. Anytone, Baofeng, Kenwood, Motorola, Smiley, Radiality, B-Tech, on and on. So tune in this Saturday at 7 p.m. on any NGARA network repeater. All right, guys, now we get to the food and meetups, the part that everyone looks forward to. So take note and jot these dates down if any of them catch your interest. They're an excellent opportunity to meet fellow members in your region. We have the Kennesaw Gathering. We'll have their Meet and Geek on Tuesday, August 11th at noon at Old Town Grill on Cobb Parkway, around the corner from McCollum Airport in Kennesaw at noon. Feel free to bring your radio or any mesh core programming issues you'd like to work through. After lunch, a mobile test bench will be available to test and program popular radios, assist with mesh core setup, or convert Meshtastic nodes for improved coverage. If you plan to attend, please contact Ed, Atlanta 557, beforehand on the air or at WRQG WRQG806@gmail.com. Again, that's WRQG806@gmail.com. So they can prepare seating and ensure the proper cables and software are on hand. Next, we've got the Chattanooga Radio Luncheon, Friday, August 21st at noon, which is at Champy's Restaurant, located at 6515 Ringgold Road in Chattanooga. All GMRS users, hams, Skywarn spotters, along with friends and family are welcome. Whether you want to talk radio or something completely different, feel free to join the conversation. Please reach out to Jonathan, Chat 30, Ronnie, Chat 69, or Jim, Chat 84, to let them know you'll be attending. That brings me to the Peachtree Corners Brunch Bunch, which will meet on August 15th at JR's Log House Restaurant, located at 6601 Peachtree Industrial Boulevard at Peachtree Corners Circle on the hill next to the bridge. Let me break. They meet every third Saturday from noon until about 2:30, 3 p.m. And this upcoming gathering will be their last before school starts back. Hard to believe it's already that season. Enjoy the cool rustic setting inside JR's. Get ready for a serious feast. Head over to the JR's Cafe website to browse their full menu. It's a great chance to connect call signs with the people behind them. Radio hobbyists can bring equipment and questions, and a special indoor programming booth will be available. Please confirm your attendance by texting or contacting Atlanta 849 Pamela, Atlanta 848 Ernest, or emailing skygazerpamela 849@gmail.com. Again, that's skygazerpamela 849@gmail.com, so that they can plan seating and resources. The Northeast Cruise next lunch meetup is on Wednesday, August 26th at Rooster's Cafe in Dahlonega, their regular hangout. They usually start arriving around 11 a.m. GMRS folks, hams, and anyone curious about two-way radio are invited. Good food and good company are guaranteed. They'd love to have you join them. For details, reach out to Bobby, Atlanta 403, or Joe, Gainesville 44. And then, again, I mentioned this last week, but we have some up-and-coming Ham Fest. We've got the Chattanooga Ham Fest, which is Friday, October 16th, and Saturday, October 17th. We've got the Stone Mountain Ham Fest. That one is going to be October 30th and October 31st. I think there's another one.
Nope, just those two.
Just those two.
Just those
The
two.
other one already happened.
All right, fantastic.
So there's Huntsville's coming up. Isn't that coming up in about 2 weeks?
I think so, yes.
That's
another big one.
I don't know why they didn't show up on my Hamfest search, but it didn't. But I do know that Huntsville's coming up. I don't know what the dates are for Huntsville, but
maybe Tony can.
2 seconds.
It's easy enough for anybody to Google. If you're interested in Huntsville Hamfest, that's coming up in a couple of weeks, and it's always a good Hamfest. It's
August
just
22nd and 23rd.
3 weeks.
Okay.
All right, let's break. Any other Hamfests in the region that we're not thinking of, big or small? If you know of one, let us know, and we'll get it added to the announcements. And if you're part of a ham club and you're going to have a swap meet, or anything of that nature, we'd be happy to talk about it in the announcements. So just send an email to Justin at NGGMRS.org, and we'll get that added to the announcements. Of course, I didn't look at my email this week, so it's been a busy week.
Yeah, it has.
It's been a challenging week. So I think I had my 40 work hours in probably, I don't know, sometime yesterday morning. So I'm on fumes at this point. But in any case, we what else do we have? We have something
I think
else, don't
that's
we?
it in regard to announcements.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right then.
So I guess
So what is tonight's topic?
part 90 and 95 radios.
Ah, yes.
Mhm.
Touchy subject.
It is a touchy subject, but one that we talk about from time to time.
Yep.
Yeah. So just in case people need some clarity, we're going to broach this topic again. So, as we said this week on the new user tips and operating procedures, I'm going to talk about Part 95 FCC rules just a touch, and then we can get into it further when we open up the floor. So many sources, often poorly informed, claim that only Part 95 radios may be used for GMRS. That's not entirely accurate. Much of the confusion comes from the FCC rule revisions made in 2017. Those updates were intended in part to curb improper radio use and misleading marketing of radios for GMRS. The revisions also clarified the limits for FRS devices, including the 2-watt maximum for unlicensed FRS operation. So, if you hear unlicensed users on GMRS frequencies, they're likely nearby FRS operators, and there's no need for alarm. A careful reading of Part 95.1761, Subpart C, shows that no GMRS transmitter will be certified for use in the GMRS if it is equipped with a frequency capability not listed in 95.1763. Let me break. Unless such transmitter is also certified for use in another radio service for which the frequency is authorized and for which certification is also required. Don't rely solely on what others say. Review the rules yourself. They're publicly available online, and our website links directly to them. Being informed ensures you can confidently address misunderstandings when they arise. GMRS evolved from a Class A citizens radio service established in the 1960s. When the 450 to 470 megahertz band was reorganized into 25 kilohertz channels, Class A citizens band transitioned into what we now know as GMRS. Because GMRS sits squarely within the commercial 450 to 470 megahertz band, commercial radios have always been accessible for GMRS use. In the 1970s, very few Part 95 radios and even fewer Part 95 repeaters existed. Part 90 commercial radios, however, were widely available and commonly used for GMRS. Even today, although many Part 95 radios and repeaters are on the market, Part 90 commercial-grade repeaters remain in use. Part 90 radios have long been and continue to be acceptable for GMRS service. Part 97 amateur radios, on the other hand, are not type accepted for commercial or Part 95 GMRS use. Even with a Mars modification that opens GMRS frequencies, amateur radios are not permitted on the North Georgia GMRS network. You can be confident that North Georgia GMRS operates fully within FCC rules and regulations, and we expect our members to do the same. These are just a few tips and operating procedures for new users. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode of Julie's Tips and Operating Procedures. And remember, if you have any questions or suggestions for new user tips and operating procedures, don't hesitate to send me a note at julie@nggmrs.org. And that's all I have. So I'm going to turn it back
That
over
was a lot.
to you.
All right, let's break. We'll
Very
come right
well
back.
said.
Thank you.
So one thing that's kind of interesting is, after the 2017 rule change, a lot of the Part 90 radios that we love and enjoy, like the Kenwood TK880, for instance, and many others, have been certified as Part 95 radios as well as Part 90. So if you search some of those commercial radio models, you'll find that they carry dual certification in both Part 90 and in Part 95. I think that Kenwood and other manufacturers recognized that these radios are perfectly capable and they fit within the rules of GMRS. So just like in commercial service, if you've got a radio in your work truck, you have the ability to select channels sometimes, but you don't have the ability to VFO a particular frequency. All right, and that's one of the distinctions between a Part 97 and a Part 95 or Part 90 radio. You can't VFO on a GMRS radio. Well, you can on some of them, but you're not supposed to be able to. And you're not supposed to be able to VFO on a Part 90 radio. So the Part 90 radios oftentimes meet the same specifications in terms of technical performance and spurious emissions and bandwidth and other features as Part 95 radios. The challenge comes from today. Modern Part 90 radios oftentimes are not capable of wideband. They're capable of narrow or very narrow, but not wideband. So sometimes they can be unlocked with a special software key, or they may call that a what's the phrase that Motorola uses? An entitlement. You may be able to acquire an entitlement to operate your radio in wideband mode, but commercial service is very strict about operating only in narrowband, and it's the radio manufacturers who will get fined, not the operator, but the radio manufacturer who faces fines for wideband radios being operated in commercial services. So they're pretty particular about whether or not they're going to let you open that radio up for wideband. That can be a big challenge. And the other thing that I'd like to raise with regards to the conversation and Julie's tips, we talked about the rule change in 2017, but we also talked about a careful reading of Part 95.1761. Subpart C. So here's the part that a lot of people miss, because it says that no GMRS transmitter will be certified for use in GMRS service if it is equipped with a frequency capability not listed in Subpart 95.1763. Okay, so that's one element.
Was that 1761 or 3?
It's both.
Okay.
1761 is the first part of the rule. Let's break. And 1763 talks about the frequency capabilities of the radios.
Okay.
But the rest of that sentence reads, unless such a transmitter is also certified for use in another radio service for which the frequency is authorized, 450 to 470, and for which certification Part 90 is also required. It's very clear that Part 90 radios are permitted in Part 95 radio service. So that I think is worth drawing a little extra attention to and explaining. And there again, if anybody, and I think Julie, you mentioned this, if you don't trust what we're saying, even if you do trust what we're saying, I recommend that you go to the Part 95 rules and dig through this and read it yourself, for two reasons. One, so that you can be confident and comfortable in knowing that we are operating correctly under Part 95 rules. And two, so that if anybody ever challenges you about the use of a Part 90 radio, that you can speak with confidence about your understanding of the rules and to know that we are operating properly and correctly. Just like I'm able to speak confidently about the fact that we are operating within FCC rules with our linked repeater system. That's a different can of worms, but it's one that I'm always willing to engage and explain. Part 95 rules in 2017 specifically allowed for linking the way that we do. There was a prohibition against linking over any sort of a telephone network. You could remotely operate a radio over a telephone network, a public switched telephone network. PSTN is what was talked about in the rule, but you couldn't link through a PTSN network. Somewhere along the line, the FCC changed that language, but it wasn't done properly. And we've found time and again that the federal agencies don't have the authority to just arbitrarily change a rule. Rules need to be changed through a process, or they need to be passed as law by Congress. And the FCC kind of shortcutted that, and they changed the language to say "or any network." And that's not legitimate. That's not how federal regulations are legitimately changed. And so we don't recognize that change. It's not valid, and we know that we can defeat that if we're ever challenged on that. And we've been operating for years now under the idea that linking is somehow illegal, but yet the FCC's done nothing. There's a reason the FCC's done nothing, and it's because they know that the rule change they made is invalid and will rapidly and quickly defeat it if we're ever challenged, and so they won't. So if you're a repeater network somewhere, let me break. If you're a GMRS repeater group somewhere and you're thinking about networking and linking your repeaters, I'd encourage you to do that, because there's nothing that really stops you from doing that. And when you take a look at FCC actions over the last couple of years, there have been no actions against any linked GMRS repeater group. There have been contacts made. The FCC individual agents have reached out to various repeater groups and said, hey, you can't do that. And they've done that with us too. But when we ask them to send us a letter showing us what the violation is, crickets. We get nothing. So with that in mind, what we're doing is perfectly legal and perfectly acceptable within the FCC rules and regulations. And I believe that to be the absolute truth. And I think that the FCC believes it too. Otherwise, we would have gotten a letter of a notification of violation some time ago. And we would have been asked to cease and desist, and we would have had to address all of that. It's never happened. And it's not going to, because they know that we know that they can't. So in all of that, I just want to say that we do respect the FCC rules and regulations when they're proper and when they're changed and updated correctly. So with that in mind, anybody that gets the idea that you can go ahead and just run an amateur radio with a Mars mod on GMRS, you can do that right up until the time that we know that you're doing it. All right. As soon as we find out that you're doing it, you have to stop, because if you're violating rules and we know about it, then that puts our whole network in jeopardy, and we have to put a stop to it. So if you're one of those that feel like you have to be able to run Mars mod, and let's face it, you can listen on any radio. Mm-hmm. There is no type requirement for a radio that you're monitoring on. You can listen on any radio at all, ever, anywhere, anytime. Could be an SDR radio. It may not even have the capability of transmitting. Any radio at all is just fine for monitoring. But to transmit on this network, we do expect people to follow the Part 95 rules. and make sure that your radio is either a Part 90 or Part 95 radio. So with that, what do you think? Should we go to the field and see if we have any more check-ins?
Sounds good to me.
All right, let's do that. Let's see if we can get to anybody else to join in on tonight's conversation. I think I have. Yeah, I've got logs. Here we go. So let's open this up to anybody from any repeater other than Flagship that would like to check in tonight. And of course, I'm sure that Ed, there's a whole list of YouTube check-ins. We've got a limited space. Let me break a very limited space of check-in spots.
So we got about a dozen more that we can get in.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this plays. It might be just fine. We'll see. But let's go ahead with the check-ins from any repeater other than Flagship. Net Control, standing by. When we come back, we got ID.
Thanks, Julie.
This is Atlanta 60, WQYU 407, Gary
60.
in Noonan, Georgia. Good evening, everybody. Checking in.
Checking in.
This is WSIS 715, Chattanooga 51. Check me in or out, please. Thank you for doing that.
This is Atlanta 350, Whiskey Sierra Hotel Golf 331, checking in, checking out.
I missed it.
No, I got it.
Okay.
This is WRYE 756, CW33, Tom and Bogart, checking in and checking out.
Was that Atlanta 350?
Yeah.
Somebody keeps blanking out my.
It's not me. I'm over here. I'm in a safe space.
All right, Net Control acknowledging Atlanta 60, Gary in Noonan. I've got you marked as in tonight, Gary. Chattanooga 51, Howard in Saudi Daisy, in and out. Atlanta 350, Ted in Tucker. We've got you marked as in tonight. And CW33, Tom in Bogart. I haven't heard from you, Tom, in a minute or two. So, Tom, hopefully you've got time to hang out with us a little bit. And, so with that, let's go ahead and open this up to any repeater anywhere, including the Flagship machine. Net Control, standing by. If we fill this up, then we'll just move to the bottom of.
And leave a little blink there.
Yeah. I'll grab this one.
Okay.
Atlanta 90.
Yeah, 90.
90, that was Bob?
Yep.
Yep.
Out of Woodstock.
W59, Tim from
Chattanooga 59.
Yep.
I think so.
Yeah.
Got it.
I'm going to move to the bottom.
This is WREJ 857, Atlanta 228. I'm checking in on RF and I'm listening on YouTube.
Oh, we both got it.
That's all right.
This is WSCB 913, Atlanta 242. Check me in, check me out, and I will be monitoring.
Okay.
This is
532.
Well, good evening, Net Control. This is WRNW 488, Atlanta 532, Tom in Flowery Branch. I'll be checking in and checking out tonight. Have a great net, everybody.
This is Atlanta 90, Bob. I forgot to say I'm checking in and checking out.
He's up on top.
Got him.
This is WSFH 294, Gainesville 420, Nick and Oakwood. Check me in, check me out. Very interesting topic. Looking forward to listening. Y'all getting it.
This is Atlanta 350, Whiskey Sierra Hotel Golf 331. I was checking in and checking out. Sorry for the confusion. Have a great net.
This is WSGS 735, Noonan 40, Orestes, in Palmetto, Georgia, checking in.
All right, let's go ahead and acknowledge what we have. So we've got several RF check-ins, and we've got a whole mess of YouTube check-ins. We're going to go through all of that here in just the next few moments. We're going to kick things off with Atlanta 90, Bob in Woodstock. I think by now Bob ought to know that we don't care if he's in and out. We might call on him anyway, right?
Hey, Bob.
Yeah. So, but we do have you marked as in and out, so I think you're safe for that. Did we acknowledged CW33 Tom in Bogart, didn't we? For whatever reason, I don't have that marked. Chattanooga 59, Tim in Dalton. We've got you marked as in tonight. Atlanta 228 Ray in Canton. I've got you also marked as in tonight. I'm not sure if that's right, but we'll make it work. Let me go through the rest of these RF check-ins. We've got Atlanta 228 Ray. Wait, is he in here twice? He must be in here twice.
We won't count that.
We've got you checked in twice, Ray. Atlanta 242 Philip in Dawsonville, in and out. Atlanta 532 Tom in Flowery Branch, in and out. Atlanta 350 I think is also in here twice. He's in and out. That's Ted in Tucker. Gainesville 420 Nick in Oakwood, and Noonan 40 Orestes in Palmetto. We've got you marked as in Orestes. And then for YouTube check-ins, we've got Gainesville 63 Willard in Homer, Atlanta 164 Dan in Marietta, Atlanta 165 Julia in Marietta. We have Atlanta 60 Gary in Noonan.
Twofer.
Yeah, double dipping. I love it. Chattanooga 64 Ryan in Ottawa, CW 44 Diane in Comer. Blue Ridge 100, Alex in Blairsville. Chattanooga 84, Jim in Hickson. Atlanta 228, Ray is in here. I think this is the third time. We've got you...
First triple.
Yeah, we've got
First
you in here for a triple, Ray. We have WSNI 885, Eric in Waleska. We have Columbus 10, Patrick in Fortson, Georgia. Atlanta 179, Bradley in Canton. We have WRQE 398, Mr. Ferguson in Hayesville, Kansas. Good to have you along again tonight. Atlanta 306, George in Loganville. Rome 11, Mark in Adairsville. Atlanta 1155, Shauna. Did I get it?
Nice.
Got to put that imaginary U in there.
Yep.
Shauna is in Canton.
Yep.
Atlanta 128, Gary That's New Gary, right?
That's the New Gary.
New Gary.
Absolutely, New Gary.
In Miami.
Is in Miami.
Yes.
I need to open up my page here so I can see
supposedly
those.
working.
He made a comment that there's linked repeaters in Miami too.
Oh, there are. Yeah.
Fantastic. I think that linking is something that people should just do.
Yeah.
Let me break.
I'm actually a member of that network because my parents live down there. The Dade County GMRS Network.
Jim, you want to announce this next YouTube check-in?
Absolutely. We've got Atlanta 181 Melissa Reed, my wife.
All right.
All right. Good to have you along, Melissa. Thanks for hanging out with us. And whatever this crazy
Thanks
thing
for
is
all the wives that
we
do support us.
Oh, yeah. That's fantastic.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, we'd be in the doghouse a lot.
Yes, sir.
Trying to play radio. I think one of the biggest wife supporters that probably goes unacknowledged the most, because we very rarely talk about Diana Beckstead. But she is a tremendous supporter of North Georgia GMRS. And, Gary was out all day today up at the flagship site making some changes and some improvements. So at flagship, we've experienced a lot of damage up there, primarily through the AC electrical system. All right, so things that plug in, like the little router, the little switch, the Ubiquity stuff, the everything related to Starlink, all that stuff that plugs in with wall warts and that sort of thing. We keep taking hits on it. Yeah. And we know we've got some electrical system shortcomings up there, but it's just one of those things that we're not really ready to put a lot of money into yet. But what we did do was we moved all of that equipment onto batteries with an AC inverter.
Mm-hmm.
So now if we take a power failure at flagship, it should seamlessly fail over to batteries. Because the only thing that really happens when the AC goes out at flagship is the battery charger stops.
Right.
All right, so it's going to seamlessly go over to battery. The inverter is powering the equipment 24/7 through the battery plant, and then and we wait for the generator to kick on, and everything is groovy. And we think with that big propane tank that's up there in that monster generator, we should have probably about 3 weeks of runtime.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
we just had a big storm go through up there last week.
Big one.
Or this week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if we have an ice storm up there that keeps the propane from getting refilled, it's okay. We got time.
Well, good.
We got time.
3 weeks.
So,
That's plenty.
Yeah, if we're 3 weeks,
that'd be a whole different
other
thing.
things to worry
exactly.
about.
That's right. So we've got more radios up there than we had when we calculated 3 weeks. So it might only be 18 days, but
still.
We're still okay.
Still, if we're a couple weeks in, something else is going. We got other things to worry about.
That's right. The load is pretty low, so I think we'll be all right.
You did have 2 YouTubes sneak in there.
Oh, looks like we've got Atlanta 151 Russell in Crossville, Tennessee, and Atlanta 102 Jackie coming in for the double dip. Appreciate that, Jackie. Glad to have you along. Before we get too far into this, I want to let's break, and then we'll be right back. I want to go ahead and throw our call signs out one more time. This is, what is my call? It's not Kilo November. It's
wrong network.
WQYR 514, Atlanta 946. My name is Justin.
And I am WSAM 231, Atlanta 180, and my name is Jim.
I'm Atlanta 1150, WRZV 748, Tony.
And this is WSAL 368, Atlanta 263, Rogers.
This is WRQ G806, Atlanta 557, Ed.
And I am WRWK 619. My name is Dana, Atlanta 250.
All right, good deal. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into our roster here. I'm gonna go quickly to Atlanta 60.
He's gonna jump. He gets top of the list.
He kind of does, but before I go to Gary, I want to go to Houston because I want to catch Houston before he goes to bed.
Yeah.
Which was probably 12 minutes ago.
Exactly.
Atlanta 780, Houston in Austell. Tonight we're talking about Part 90 and Part 95 radios. I know you've had your hands engaged in programming Part 90 radios. What's the biggest challenge in using a Part 90 radio for GMRS service?
Hi, good evening, Justin. Good evening to the rest of you. I guess the biggest problem is probably getting them on to program as a wide band. The radios that you get now, I know there's a place on the FCC site that you can go and put your radio numbers in, and it will tell you if it is a Part 95 or 90 or 97 or whatever, and that's the best thing to do. Or, well, not the best. The best thing is just go to Gary and order your radio from him. You know you get the right one.
Well, that's the truth. We know that if the radio's coming from Hobbit Communications, it's going to be pre-programmed for North Georgia GMRS Network, as well as probably the ARA network, at least all of the 440 machines. Does that radio do? That radio doesn't do. It's not a dual band, is it?
Which one?
The Hobbit radio, the NX 1300.
I don't know. Ed, do you know that?
Well, we've got the guy that can answer that question coming
well.
up here in just a moment, so we'll ask him. But there is one of the ARA repeaters that's a 2-meter machine. That's the one in Upson. And then there are 8 more that are on the air. Well, 7 more that are on the air right now. Fort Mountain will be repaired, hopefully by this weekend. That one's going to be. We're planning on having that one on the air very, very soon. Also, the Fort Mountain GMRS machine should come up at about the same time. So once those machines are back, we'll be full up all the way around on both sides. So, but yeah, I think that's the best option, because then you get a radio that's programmed for most of our repeaters, and you have a great Part 90 radio at about the same cost as if you bought a Part 95 radio from one of the Chinese suppliers.
Mm-hmm.
So I noticed that when Julie was reading off all the radio brands that Dana had for his Saturday night sessions, she stopped before she got to the Wuxi radio.
Wuxi?
Yeah, because
it's ocean, isn't it?
No.
Wushan.
It's not. The Chinese character that everybody thinks is an N is pronounced with a hard T sound.
Huh.
What are you looking at me? What are you looking at me like that for, Tony?
I'm trying to formulate this in my brain.
So just work that out in your head.
Nope.
And you'll know exactly what I mean.
Nope.
It's a hard T sound. Everybody thinks it's an N, but it's not. But, so. All right. Well, good stuff, Houston. Do you have anything else to add?
No, sir. Not other than if you decide to go on to eBay and buy your radio, you better be real careful about it, because a lot of them don't work, and a lot of them are not advertised as what they actually are. So it's best to get your radio from somebody respectable.
Well, that's true. And one thing that seldom gets mentioned, and I often kind of forget about, like with the Kenwood, the TK-880s, there are 3 different versions of that radio. And 2 of them cover GMRS frequencies, and one of them is like 430 to 440. It's a UHF radio, but you're not going to talk on GMRS with it.
Huh.
So you want to be careful which radio you're getting, what frequencies that radio actually covers, because not all 880s are suitable for GMRS service. But if you have an 880, I think it's a great radio. It's a Part 90 and it's a Part 95. So are several. I think the 8180 is also Part 95. There's a handful of the old Kenwood radios that we all love that are Part 90 and Part 95. So that is a good option, but you do need to be careful about the band split on that particular radio. I don't believe that's an issue with the Motorola radios, but it could be. So just pay attention when you're buying a radio. If the seller doesn't know specifically what frequencies that radio is capable of, you might want to pass.
Buyer beware.
Yeah.
Yep.
A good deal is only a good deal if it works. So all right, thank you, Houston, and I'm gonna mark you as out, and thank you for participating tonight. Before we go
Hopefully
through the
we
rest
didn't
of
keep
the
him up.
Yeah, before we go through the rest of the roster, I want to jump down and check in with Atlanta 60 and see if Gary has any comments for tonight's net. And do you have any further explanation about why Part 90 radios are acceptable for use in Part 95 service?
Well, good evening, and I appreciate you guys having me. And I want to give a special thank you to Justin and Julie and Jim and Ed and Rogers, who are always there every week to run the nets for us. And it's a great service and a great job. And I really, for one, appreciate you guys behind the desk keeping things running, and also on the YouTube page. Yeah, there's a lot of history. You know, we got started doing this back in 2007. So if you want, I'll give you a little brief history of how things might have evolved.
Oh, absolutely. I think that would be, I think a lot of people would love to hear that.
Okay, so back when I discovered GMRS, there was only one repeater in this entire region. It was located on a southern slope up in Jasper, and that repeater happened to be probably down more than it was up. And that was the only one around. And I know for a fact it was an old, cobbled together Master 2 repeater, which used to be a commercial grade repeater. Now, back then, there were nobody that made repeaters that were Part 95. That just did not exist. In fact, I'm just now starting to see advertised Part 95 repeaters that are coming out in the past year. So they're new. Obviously, people like Bridgecom and some other folks are figuring out that there's a repeater that they can sell. But 99.99% of all the repeaters across the United States that have been put into service for GMRS are Part 90 repeaters. 95 repeaters just did not exist. So they have supported the fleet all this time. Let me break. So the information that you guys put out earlier about the 2017 writings on Part 95 was probably, well, not probably, it was primarily done because back then Garmin attempted to take over the GMRS frequencies. They were heavily petitioning the FCC to buy the frequencies so they could use them exclusively on their new radios that they wanted to come out with, which were going to be able to do texting on, putting out GPS locations, and things of that nature. So the FCC, in its infinite wisdom, chose to write the regulations that regulated how those radios were to function and what timing they could do on transmitting text messages and GPS coordinates, removable and non-removable antennas. They bared down on the VCO issues and pretty much put those guys in a box and said, okay, this is all that we're going to let you do. And that's pretty much that was rewritten in that area to wrangle that under control. But today, like you guys have said, many of the Kenwood radios and Motorola radios that we like so much do have a dual certification for both Part 90 and 95. Let me break. Now, many folks may not know this, but under both Part 90 and 95, on the surface you look at the normal regulations we read, but if you drill down and get deeper and deeper into the weeds of the regulations, there is a technical side of those regulations. And here's the difference that should put people at ease a little bit. The regulations for Part 90 radios is very strict. They're very strict on the frequency tolerance of drift, on the modulation, on many aspects of how that transmitter is supposed to function and behave and conform to expected regulations. And those regulations are a lot stricter than the Part 95 regulations. They're a little looser and not as strict. So we've always looked at the idea that Part 90 radios had a much stricter conformity to regulations and specifications, and were actually a more superior radio. Now, why is that? The reason Part 90 was because those radios were pressed into service for 40 years for public safety. They were the radios that were used for fire, police, emergency services, ambulances, and they had very strict requirements. So the 90 radio, specification-wise, to me is a lot superior than the 95 radios that are coming out. So that's a little bit of overview about that. And like Houston said, you can go to the FCC website, type in your FCC ID number of your radio, and they will there tell you if that radio has, along with a whole bunch of other things it'll tell you, but it will also indicate that you've got a 90 or a 95 certification. Back to you, Justin.
Very good stuff, Gary. And I tell you, that seems to be the one thing that people get really stuck on, is that, in 2017 there were some rule changes. Then the language was a little bit unclear, but there again, it was, I think, really focused. I think, like as you mentioned, with regard to the things that Garmin was trying to do, and I think the other thing they were trying to get a rein in on was so many of these mislabeled FRS radios that were really GMRS radios, but they were claiming you could use the radio without a license. The radio operated in GMRS frequencies and at beyond FRS power. They were marketed as an FRS radio, but they were capable of operating well beyond FRS and into GMRS. And I think that was the other thing that the FCC was trying to get a handle on, was the marketing of certain radios.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of our favorite brands, so many of us have had, the Bofang radio in our hand at one point. A lot of us have started off on those radios or variation. Mine was a BTEC, but really it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And even today, I think that Bofang is terrible about misrepresenting and mischaracterizing the radios and the identifications of. So one of the most notorious things that I think that Bofang has ever done was they took their beloved I can't remember the model number on that radio. The
UV5R.
UV5R. Everybody's got the UV5R. Forever, the UV5R was a Part 97 radio.
Mm-hmm.
It was not a radio that was suitable for Part 90 use or Part 95 use. Well, they've gotten the UV5R certified as a Part 95 radio. So now when somebody's using a UV5R, is it the old one? Is it the new one? Is it legal? Is it not legal?
Do they even know? Because some of the people that resell the UV5Rs can put whatever they want on those also. That's where you get in trouble with those Chinese radios in some cases.
So I'm very skeptical. If somebody tells me they're using the UV5R, I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it, not because of the user, but because of what Bofang has done to create, to sow clouds of confusion over the matter. And I think that's a terrible, terrible thing. I think that the FCC should have stepped up and said, no, you can't certify that one because it's so well known as not being a Part 95 radio. You're just going to, if you want to do it, just do it with a different model number.
Yep.
And that would have been okay.
UV5G.
UV5G, UV5, UV6R.
Or UV5R too.
Anything. Yeah.
Something.
Pro or G, I think would have been a great descriptor. But yeah, I think that's a big question mark for me with Bofang, and really sours me on that radio in terms of what they've done. Let's break. So with that in mind, Gary, do you have anything you want to add before we go to the rest of the roster to see if anybody has questions or comments about Part 90, Part 95 radios?
Sure, I'd like to clarify a little bit of information about narrowbanding. Narrowbanding was an effort that the FCC put together. It was about a 12-year project, first indicating that they were moving that way and then giving manufacturers time to manufacture radios that were able to do narrowband. And then they mandated that out there in the Part 90 world, that anybody using a radio had to be narrowbanded. Now, when they chose to go to narrowbanding, they encompassed two exceptions. One was GMRS, and the other one was low band, 30 megahertz to 50 megahertz. They mandated that those two services could stay at the 25 kilohertz wideband standard. So when we started working with the new Kenwood radios, Hobbit went ahead and obtained legally through Kenwood a license to be able to program GMRS in wideband, because right now all new Part 90 radios that come out can only be programmed in narrowband, or like you said, very narrowband, which means that's 12.5 or 6.25 kilohertz band split. And so we had to sign paperwork basically notarizing that we would be doing that with GMRS frequencies, and that was permissible. So that's why all the radios that come out of the Hobbit on the Kenwood side are programmed in on narrowband, or not narrowband, but wideband on the 25 split. So that kind of clears that up and makes that a little cleaner to work with. But other than that, I'll stand by, and we'll see if we can answer any questions that might come up. Back to net control.
Very good. All right, Gary. Well, let's go back to the roster. It looks like I missed one. The WRYQ586 Kevin. Kevin, do you have any questions or comments for tonight's net? What are your thoughts on Part 90 radios, Part 95 radios, and GMRS?
I don't know if he was in and out.
All right, I think Kevin was a guest check-in, so I'm going to show him as in and out, and we'll move right on to CW40 Robert in Nicholson. Robert, do you have any comments for tonight's net? All right, same thing. We're going to show Robert as in and out and move right on down to Chattanooga 260. Colt in the carpet.
Remnant
carpets.
Carpet
carpet sales.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll talk to Colt in Dalton, Georgia. Colt, what are your comments with regard to Part 90 and Part 95 radios?
Chat 260 WSCM4, coming from the Magic Carpet capital of the
go.
world. That's right. You can ride them if you're careful. Big Part 90 guy. I've got a bunch of Motorola's. I've got the APXs, 7000, 8000. I got some 7550 that are in VHF and UHF bands. Those are running some spicy crypto on my business band license that I have. That being said, I can tell you the main difference between these Part 90 radios and everything else. Let me break. The main thing that I see difference between the Part 90 radios and the cheaper things you can buy for $20 is that the commercial band radios that you get are not flexible. They have to be programmed. You have to know what you're doing. You got to come from the Hobbit, or you got to go to somebody that can program that and knows the ins and the outs. They can't fake it. And once it's programmed, unless you've got a really high-end model, you're not going to change anything in it on the fly. It's set. There's no changing repeaters. There's no changing tones. There's no dialing up anything. I will say that I do a lot of videos, and Kenwood sent me some EP3000. Got it this week, and I didn't think I liked Kenwood until I touched this new high-end Kenwood radio, and it's kind of blowing my mind a little bit just how good. And I will tell you the main difference that I see in the quality of these higher-end radios, let me break, is they sound good. They look good, they sound good, the mic sounds good with them. It's just kind of I don't know how to explain it. If you're going to go buy a Kia and then you go buy a Corvette, there's going to be a lot of things that are different between those two. Not for everybody. At the end of the day, the commercial, the 90 radios, they're not flexible, but they'll last every day, day after day, 24/7. Back to you, Net Control.
One thing you may not have realized is that if you had purchased a Kenwood radio from the Hobbit, it has actually a zone, a DIY zone that has all of the GMRS repeater pairs in it that you can temporarily plug whatever PL tone you want to related to that particular repeater pair. Now that all gets blanked out and defaults back to its zero base when you power cycle the radio. But if you're traveling someplace and you know that you're going to need a repeater, outside of your home base, and you would like for it to be able to talk with a PL tone different than what you would find in any of our zones, you can do that. So, but you're right. For the most part, Part 90 radios are not programmable on the fly. That's one exception that we are able to do with it's the NX1300, right? That's the mobile. I always get the mobile on the handheld.
Yeah, I think Tony's looking for it here.
The NX1300 is the handheld.
Yeah. The 13's a handheld. I think it's true that there's a DIY bank in both. Gary, is that true? Can you do that in both the mobile and the handheld?
That is true. There's a zone set up in there, and then you can go to what they call OST, which is Operator Selectable Tone, and there's a bank of, I believe, 25 or 30 PL tones, both CT, CSS, and DCS in there that you can select from to make that happen. So that is something that's available.
Yeah, and I don't think that's something you can do. You can't do that like on the TK 880 or the 8180. It has to be the NX series radios to be able to do that, and they have to come from the Hobbit Communications to have that functionality. But you're right, Colt. For the most part, Part 90 radios are not user on the fly programmable. You kind of need to know what you're getting into before you get there, in order to be able to have the radio set up properly to work in different areas. If you know what areas you are, some of the things like I don't even know how many channels you can program into an 880, but it's a little bit limited. But when you get into some of the other radios, they have multiple channels and multiple zones. So you can program maybe 100 channels into 10 different zones, or maybe it's 10 channels into 100 zones. But whatever it is, you have that flexibility in zones and channels to be able to have quite a large collection of repeaters, both locally and regionally.
And so that yeah, go ahead. And it's 260 channels. The radio that Tony just showed, the NX, 260 channels and 128 zones.
Nice.
Radio.
Yeah, so you're not going to run out of channels on that radio.
No.
Everything you program and you can keep. Now the trouble is that if you're doing a DIY thing because you didn't get it programmed from the get-go, then you're in a situation where whenever that radio powers off, you're going to lose those PL tones. They're going to default back to whatever the default is for those frequencies, probably no PL. And then, but you can program them right back in the next time you power the radio up. As far as getting the radio programmed, it's going to come pre-programmed with all the North Georgia GMRS frequencies and stuff. It's just, and it's also going to have all the North Georgia ARA frequencies. And it's also got different zones that have some of the nearby regions, South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee. I don't know if there's Florida in it or not. But it's got a lot of those options, so that's a good choice in terms of a GMRS radio, especially for a new user. And the price point is, it's what $30-$40 more than the Wooshit mobile radio that people are so fond of, And you got to hand it to them. They are very good at honoring their warranty, and just about everybody I know that's gotten one of those radios has had it serviced, has it replaced under warranty. And that kind of tells you something when it's so common to have the radio. The Kentwood radio comes with a 3-year warranty, and
you're never going to use it.
You're not going to use it. You're not going to have it warranted. It's going to be good for a lot more than the 3 years. That we buy these. Let's break. We buy these used radios, and they're already like some of these radios have been riding around in a dump truck for 10 years. And they will retire a dump truck, pull the radio out, put it in the next truck.
And
the radio will live through 2 or 3 trucks before they retire the radio. Back when I was driving cement mixers in Fort Wayne, that was the common practice. The mixer was purchased brand new, and they would run it for 3 years. And at the end of 3 years, they would sell that truck, but they would pull the radio out and stick it in the next truck.
Right.
And that radio would last for a handful of trucks before they ever got rid of the radio. So that was pretty common practice, and I think that still is with a lot of fleets. I know that the railroad does that. When they take a truck out of service, they strip the radios and the electronics off of the truck. Everything that's proprietary for the railroad comes off, and then the truck gets sent to auction. All those kits, those lighting kits, accessory packages, all that stuff gets bolted onto the next truck in the
Makes
fleet.
sense.
So, and there's no reason to change a radio just because you change a truck, because it's got a lot of life left in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I think one of the bigger advantages. If you're wanting to put a radio in a tractor or a Jeep, a side by side, something that takes a beating, you definitely want a Part 90 radio in there. That's definitely going to be a piece of equipment that you want to avoid putting any consumer electronics into. I know that Midland is pretty popular with Jeeps, but really honestly, I don't know that they're built as tough as a Jeep is, and I don't think they're really built to go through the terrain and the rugged stuff that they do with Jeeps. You can get a Part 90 radio, you can soak it in the water, and it's probably going to work when it dries out. So, good stuff. All right, Colt, do you have anything to add before we move on?
Chat 260. The last thing I was going to tell you is, the county, one of the counties I'm on, we were issued new radios. They're called the Motorola APX Next, and those are coming with the repeater pairs already in them, and they're coming with all the GMRS channels. So the new public safety layout for frequency banding, they're taking a pretty significant look and having those GMRS channels for rescues and other things, and flexibility in our issued radios. Not that we'll ever need them, but they are being issued like that now. Chatting at 260 WSCM 494, back to you.
Well, I don't know how the licensing works in public service, public safety, but I think that's a good idea because if you've got volunteers that can come with their own FRS radios or their own GMRS radios, or if you need to hand out some radios to a group of volunteers, you can buy radios cheap enough to hand to volunteers that if the radio gets broken, lost, or what have you, it's not the end of the world. Whereas if you're not going to hand out your public service radios to the general public for a lot of reasons. One being that those things are crazy expensive.
Yes.
But there's some security, there's some information security there. There's a lot of reasons why those radios are not going to be put in the hands of Joe Q public. They need to be kept track of pretty closely. So that's good stuff, Colt, and glad to know that GMRS is something that public safety is beginning to recognize as a viable means of communication.
And didn't back in the day, police monitored channel 9 on CB?
On CB,
it's the emergency channel. I don't know if it ever worked.
I don't know if it ever worked either, but I've always heard that.
That was always the rumor.
Yeah. I monitored Channel 9 quite a lot back in my truck driving days just to see if there was any activity there. I often ran with a couple of radios in the truck, so I could monitor more than one channel. And I never ever heard any action on Channel 9. But supposedly they did, and I've been told, I've never heard firsthand, that every now and then you'll hear them talking to each other, on Channel 9, so that they're not on their police radio because they know that's being recorded. But there again, I never heard any of that.
Trust me, as a former deputy sheriff back in the 80s, yes, they did follow Channel 9.
Okay, there you go. You've heard it from.
There you go.
From the. Is that from the? Can I say from the horse's mouth?
He was there.
He was there.
He was there.
Well, we've got Mr. Ed and the horse's mouth.
Oh.
All right, good stuff. Let's check in with Rhino, Atlanta 123. Rhino, are you rocking any Part 90 radios?
evening, Net Control. This is WSJL 977, Atlanta 123, Rhino on Cheshire Bridge. And thankfully today I get to live above the bridge. I'm no longer under the bridge.
It's not in the doghouse.
Outstanding.
Plus, it's dangerous under there. They set them on fire over here
Every once in a
all
while,
the time.
yes.
So I get to live above the bridge today. Great topic tonight, and you know I'm learning a terribly awful lot tonight. I've operated under some assumptions, and I'm learning a lot. I guess a major question that I have, and it might be controversial, but I'm here for it. I would assume, and like I said, I would assume that like a Part 97 radio would have a higher fidelity threshold, or would in plain English be usually a better radio than a Part 90 or Part 95E, where the Part 90 and Part 95Es would operate with more restrictions to keep it band specific. I have a lot of questions regarding this. Maybe you guys can help. Go ahead, back to you, Net Control.
Very good, Rhino. I would love to answer that question, but I think Gary will have a better answer than I can provide. So, but at any point, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. But let's see what Gary has to say.
Oh, good evening, Rhino. It's good to hear you on the air. I was thinking about you today when I was coming down 400 and all that horrendous traffic. Oh my God, I can't believe traffic on 400 is like it is. But as I was passing by the Buckhead repeater, I was thinking about you. So, Part 97 radios. Let's keep one thing in mind. Part 97 radios, or Part 97 regulations, is for amateur radio. And amateur radio is considered to be experimental. And that's why most amateur radios that you buy today will not have an FCC registration number in there because they are experimental. Amateur radio, in its history of over 100 years, has, they used to build them out of a box, and they didn't put strict regulations on frequency specifications or drift or how accurate was a transmitter or what was the wattage, because it's considered experimental. So that being said, a Part 97 radio to me are wonderful radios. I'm not going to throw any shade on them at all, but they are not going to have the regulated specification mandates on them as strict as a Part 90 radio, so to speak. But when you look at Part 97, just remember it's experimental. Amateur radio is all about experimental. So the FCC does not mandate on the amateur community to be as strict with specifications on the technical aspect of the radio. But I marvel. I mean, I look up here at my Flex radio that I have for my HF, and it's an unbelievable SDR package, and it's full of technology. So no shade from me on Part 97 equipment, but when it comes to portables and mobiles and things of that nature, you're going to find that the 90 specifications, if you drill down, are going to be a lot more stricter. Let me break, and I got one more comment. So also I want to comment on the YouTube concerning the Anytone radios. Anytone is now coming out with models that are both Part 97 and Part 90 certified, which means you can use those radios on commercial and also GMRS and also amateur radio. So again, those FCC identifiers on those Anytone radios will show that they have 3 certifications on them now instead of just the Part 97. So it's like Houston said earlier, look up what you're about to buy, do some due diligence, and check to make sure what you're getting is what you want to use. But I hope that answers your question, Rhino. And, buddy, I appreciate your involvement in the organization, and I've enjoyed following you and your tower project, and I have felt your pain, brother. Been doing it for years. Back to Net Control.
Good stuff, and I think that was a great answer. Rhino, did that answer your question?
Atlanta 123 net control. Yeah, that's fantastic answer, and I'm having a blast learning all about it. I tend to geek out. I can't believe I haven't dug deeper into this subject, but I absolutely have it pulled up on my computer. I'm learning all about it. Thank you, Atlanta 60 Gary. Thank you so much for that in-depth explanation. I've got more questions. I think for the time's sake, though, I'll ask them apart from the net tonight. But fantastic net. What a great conversation. And you guys have a full panel up there tonight. Standing room only, it appears. Great to see Jim back. Good to see Julie there, and Tony and Roberts as well. You guys do an amazing job. This is a great program, and I'm absolutely enjoying it tonight. So with that, that's all I have. This is WSJL 977 Atlanta 123. Back to net control. Thanks, guys.
I also wanted to thank Rhino for hosting the 4992 MeterNet last week, and I heard tell that you did an awesome job, so thank you very much. And contextualize a little bit of what Gary was talking about for you, Rhino. Remember, during Field Day, one of the primary activities I had was retuning the radios when somebody played with the buttons on the HF radio. When you're in Part 97, when Gary was saying it's experimental, those radios will let you do so much and so much cool stuff. They'll also let you very easily mess them up and make them not transmit. And that's kind of the antithesis of what we have with GMRS, where whenever you squeeze that pit, you're able to communicate. So the reliability factor is a major contrast, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, there's so much automation built into these radios in terms of frequency, consistency, keeping the channel lined up properly, transmitting without excessive spurious emissions. All these specifications that Gary is talking about, the technical specs that go into Part 90 radios are oftentimes much more stringent than anything else. So if you're using a Part 90 radio, you can count on it's going to sound better because it's actually outputting a much cleaner signal. And it's going to sound better because it has better filtering on the front end and the receiver portion. They're just better radios in so many ways. Now, are they flexible enough that you can figure out how to change PL tones on the fly? Not really. Not really. The only one that I know of where you can change PL tones on the fly is going to be the NX series radios that come from Orbit Communications. I'm not aware of any other Part 90 radio that allows for that. So... I hadn't really considered the multi certification. I knew that there were some radios that were Part 90 and Part 95. I had no idea we had radios that were also Part 97 certified. I didn't think there was a certification for 97.
Yeah, I didn't think there was either.
So, in any case, having a radio that's legally capable of performing in all three, I think is fabulous. Now, in my experience, I don't want that. I don't like multi-band radios. I want to when I'm in a band on a radio, that's where I want to be. I don't want to mess with trying to figure out whether or not my tri-band antenna is this antenna or that antenna. For me, I would like a GMRS radio in the truck, and a VHF radio in the truck, and then I don't need to be switching, figuring out bands. I see no reason for a 220 in my truck. Now I've got the Anytone, and I'm not happy with it. I would switch it out in a minute for a VHF radio, just because the Anytone is more complicated than I am willing to negotiate while I'm driving. The radio needs to, when I turn the key on, I want the radio to come on and to be on the channel that I selected, and I don't want to have to think about it beyond that. And the Anytone is just, as far as my day-to-day operations, just far too complicated for the application. Let me break. But part of my problem is I've got my radios mounted inside of a console. I've got to open the console. I've got to, it's an awkward position to try to operate the radio. All I really want is to be able to key the microphone. I want a mic, and I don't want a bunch of buttons on the mic, and that's the other the issue I have with the Anytone is there's no place for me to grab.
Sounds like he's taking it personal.
The microphone without
not like it
without pressing buttons I didn't intend. Fortunately, I found that you can lock out most of the buttons on the Anytone. So if I accidentally press buttons, it won't do stuff. So that is a good feature to have. But like I say, when in a vehicle situation, I don't want a complicated radio. I want a TK 880, a 780, the 710. I want a very simple radio that's going to be on the channel I put it on last, the volume level I set, and it's just going to be very consistent. I love the 880 in my truck. So if somebody's got a good VHF radio, I'd be interested in making a deal. So, anybody needs an Anytone?
I do not.
All right. Well, good stuff. And thanks, Rhino. You can reach out anytime if you have questions. You've got the contact info, and be happy to have a conversation. I need to have a conversation with Rhino about some other stuff. So I'll see if I can, maybe over the weekend, see if I can track you down, and we can have a chat about some of that stuff. Next on the roster, I've got Atlanta 403. By now, hopefully, Bobby's done with dinner. What's cooking at the Vortex?
Hey, good job with the net tonight. Good topic, good subject. Yeah, we had venison, kind of like a venison stew here.
Nice.
Venison roast. It was real good, and the fixings. So, we had a good munch here at the Vortex. And sorry, I went in there for a break here, but I agree with what you said. One radio, one antenna, one band. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I guess you're probably old school like me, and just want simple setup in the vehicle. I don't mind a complicated setup on a desk. That doesn't bother me at all because now I've got a situation where I have the ability to pay attention to all those knobs and buttons and dials and switches. But like the Kenwood, when I turn the key on in the truck, it powers up and it's ready to play. The Anytone wants me to press a button to acknowledge some situation about, I don't even know what it is. I'd have to go power it up and look at it again.
But it's the clock.
So it's not even going to come on and play. We have the same problem in Julie's car, which is why she can't use the radio in the car. The radio is mounted underneath the seat, the passenger seat.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're driving the car, you got to turn the car on and then get out and go around and get down and behind the seat and fiddle fuss with that. And so I think the Anytone was a mistake for us. I would swap that Anytone out for a Kenwood in a minute because I like that it powers up and it's just ready to play. It doesn't have a lot of software. There's no menu choices. There's no, are you sure you want to do this? It's just ready. And that's the kind of radio that we need to have in Julie's car. And I need a VHF radio in my truck. But one of these days. All right, Bobby, good stuff. And mono band. Same thing with antennas. A dual band antenna in my mind is an antenna that performs poorly in two places.
Compromised.
It's compromised. So it's not tuned specifically to a band. It's tuned to a band and also has a harmonic in another band. And so sometimes we can capitalize on that, and the harmonic is good enough that we don't have a big loss in that harmonic. But it truly, there is no dual band here. You're not seeing both frequencies or both bands at the same level because one side of that equation is a harmonic of the other. And, I'm not a big fan of dual band antennas. Wideband is very different from dual band. But you're probably not going to get what you want out of a wideband.
And also,
either.
And I've been having the greatest success with Simplex using monoband antennas as well. So they do make a difference.
I think they do. Because you have a radio, you have a system that's tuned to a narrower part of the spectrum and not trying to pick up so much.
Right.
And,
Exactly.
I think that your efficiency is greater. Probably the clarity on your receive is going to be better.
But we all can't be CV with 15,000 antennas on our truck.
Yeah, he's got.
That does pose
It's a cool
another
setup,
hazard.
It is a pretty neat thing. It's like a porcupine going down the road. Love you, CV. All right, let's take a break, and we'll come back to next on the roster. Before we do that, this is WQIR 514, Atlanta 946. My name is Justin.
WSAM 231, Atlanta 180. My name is Jim.
Atlanta 1150, WRZV 748. Tony.
This is WSAL 368, Atlanta 263, Rogers.
And this is WRQ G806, Atlanta 557, Ed.
And WRWK 895, Atlanta 250. My name is Dana.
Fantastic. I guess we're all still here.
We're all still here.
All right, next in the roster is Atlanta 60, Gary in Noonan. Gary, do you know anything about Part 90 or Part 95 radios?
Well, I know when I tuned into the net, I thought you guys were talking about interstate numbers.
One runs north, one runs south, right?
Yeah. We no. So it's the even numbered interstates are east and west, and the odds are north and south.
Yep.
So keep that. Don't forget that trick. Good stuff, Gary. And we'll keep on through the roster here. We only have a few more, and if you can stick around for a few more minutes in case somebody has a question, that would be great. So next on the roster is CW33 Tom in Bogart. Tom's usually in and out, but let's see if he's there with us tonight. And Tom, do you have any questions about Part 90 or Part 95 radios?
WRYE 756, Tom in Bogart. No, I don't. I've enjoyed listening to the net tonight. It's been a good refresher on a lot of stuff and some new information. It's always wonderful to be here. I hadn't been able to attend for a while, but I'm in tonight. But appreciate what you guys do, and y'all have a wonderful evening.
All right, Tom, thank you. It's great to hear from you. It has been just a minute since we've seen you in the roster, but glad to have you along tonight. Next, we've got Chattanooga 59 Timothy in Dalton. Timothy, any comments or questions about Part 90 or Part 95 radios? All right, not hearing anything from Chat 59. Let's move on to Atlanta 228, Ray in Canton. Ray, any questions or comments about Part 90 or Part 95 radios?
Yes, good afternoon or good evening, Justin. I don't have any questions, but the only comment I have is I agree with you. I have the BTEC 50X1. It's a GMRS radio. It's got a tiny post stamp screen, but I like the fact that once I set it on a frequency, it's locked in, and I don't have to play with it. I mean, I've had it since 2019, and it's still working pretty good, and that's what I'm talking on right now. If anything happens to that radio, I will be talking to Gary about getting a Kenwood, because I think that might be something I'd be interested in. But I would like a dual band radio, a VHF, a UHF, and, if that could be worked out, because, someday I might want to get my ham license. I don't know, But I'm so happy with this group, and the network that Gary built. And so, as long as my radio is working, I'll be fine with it. That's about all. Okay. WREJ 857, Atlanta 228. I'll be clear.
Good stuff. Well, I'll tell you, Ray, if you do get your amateur license, there's a lot that you can do right there in UHF with the radio that you have. Most of the North Georgia Amateur Radio Association repeaters are 440 repeaters. So they're in the 440 to 444 megahertz range. We do have a 2-meter repeater all the way down on the southern end of the network in Upson. But everything else is 440. So you would be able to use your radios, the BTEC radio or the Bofang radios, I think will tune down to 440. If not, there are inexpensive radios that will do that. But the Kenwood's going to be your greatest asset, because you're going to have a radio that has a better sound quality when you transmit, and it's going to have a better filtering in the receive portion. So it'll be easier to hear stations when you're monitoring. It'll be easier to what's the word I'm looking for? The comprehension, the clarity. The clarity of the audio is better in some of these high end. It's not really a high end radio, but it's
selectivity,
much better filtering and selectivity.
It finally came to me.
It just ignores the noise, whereas so many other radios will incorporate the noise. So that selectivity function is definitely an important one. Thanks for hanging out with us, Ray. It's great to hear from you. And next on the list, right down the street from Canton, we've got Eric, WSNI 885, is with a new GMRS license. Eric,
welcome.
Glad to have you along tonight. And you have any questions about Part 90 or Part 95 radios?
Says he switched to YouTube. Somebody is.
Okay. I thought I was hearing something.
No, I do hear it. I do hear it.
Yeah, all right. I guess Eric switched from RF to YouTube.
Yeah, it's echo.
Hey, Justin.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Ed. I heard him on RF. I'm monitoring Flagship, so I don't know why it didn't come through to Vanguard.
Oh.
So maybe holler at him again. See if we
well,
can
let's
get him
try that
turned
again,
up.
Eric. For some reason, we didn't hear you in here. We heard something, but we couldn't make out what it was. Eric, if you don't mind, come back and try that whole transmission all over again.
Yeah, this is Eric, WSNI 855. New to GMRS, but enjoying it greatly. I'm on the flagship repeater, courtesy of Atlanta 557, who helped me get started, and I enjoyed the presentation tonight.
Very good stuff. Well, glad to have you along, and hope that you'll tune in to the various activities that are going on throughout the week on the network. We got stuff going on tonight, tomorrow night, Saturday night on ARA. We've got Tuesday nights on the northern portion of the network. You won't hear that on Flagship, but they do the Skywarn stuff up around Chattanooga. Wednesday you'll hear a net on you'll hear it on Flagship. It's a closed net for a private group, so if you're not part of that group, that you don't want to check into it, but you can monitor and listen. That's always free. So good stuff. Lots of stuff going on, and we might have a brand new net starting up sometime very soon. If I ever can get around to making certain phone calls and getting things done.
You would think about all he makes, all the money he makes in this, he'd have more time.
You would think.
Hey, well, Eric is off. Eric, you're also off to a really good start. If you know Atlanta 557, you're ahead of the game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Comment? Wait a minute, I got a comment here. So the best thing about Eric is that he is willing to acknowledge publicly that he knows me. We actually go back a long time. We worked together for years, and you guys will remember Eric. He came by to visit us at Amicalola and got the bug. But what you may not know about Eric is that he is an avid biker, bicycle rider, and he goes off-roading and wanted to have a radio for when he's riding around the state and doesn't have cell phone coverage. So GMRS was perfect, and this network is perfect for him. So far, he's been testing it around the area and has had pretty good results. So welcome, Eric, and glad to hear you on RF.
Fantastic, good stuff, and that's I think that's a great idea. You know, to carry a radio, carry a handheld radio in your backpack or somewhere on the bike, and if you do have some trouble, you know that can be your way of getting out of trouble. You know, we had an issue with one of our members. I don't know how many people would even know about this, but one of our members wiped out on a bicycle. And it was an e-bike. It was an electric bike, and according to the display on the GoPro, and the display on the handlebars, the wipeout happened, I think, at approximately 24 miles per hour.
Oh, that's
so pretty good clip. It was down a hill. It was around a curve and off onto the shoulder, into some gravel, and then I think the bike just went out from under him. Well, he lost consciousness in all of that. Let me break. In that situation, you know, a radio's not going to help if you're not able to press the PTT, but his iPhone called emergency services for him. And so that's something to be aware of, that if you become immobile and unresponsive, the iPhone makes a series of warning tones, and if you don't respond to those tones, then it will call 911, and an operator,
if you fall or something like that.
And the Apple Watch would do that as well.
Right.
My brother was in an accident recently, and as soon as the crash happened, I got an alert, and it's listed as one of the emergency contacts. But and it's at this location as well, and also called the emergency services.
Yeah, so
it's a good feature.
That's something, you know, maybe is another thing to be aware of. I know that the iPhone will do that. I assume that some of the Android phones are capable of that as well, but I don't have any firsthand knowledge. So, Ed and Eric, if you're going to be out there on the bikes, that's another thing to take into consideration. But I think the HT is a great idea, because if you're out riding and you break down, you know, it's impossible to carry everything that you might need. That's impractical.
Right.
So, if you need to call and get a ride back, or ride to the shop or what have you to get the bike repaired, then and you're not in cell phone coverage area, then I think that's a great option. So good stuff.
And think about this: even if you are in cell phone coverage, you could the phones, you know, easily slip out of our hands now. The phone could slip away when you fall, and it could be 20 feet away. It could be 10 feet away.
Right. Or you could
the
land
radio
on it
could
and
be
break
just
it.
right. Yeah.
Yep.
The radio could just be right there still, and you know, it's just good to have it either way.
Yes.
You know, we have a few members. Tom being one of them, CW33, and he's on tonight. When you know, I get good coverage up here in the mountains. That a few of the members that do the hiking and the biking, they check in with me, you know, or make arrangements for me to be on as they're going up these trails, and we sort of check in with each other as they go along, just to make sure everything's good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing that comes to mind. If you're headed to Flagship on a Saturday morning, there are often bicyclists on that on that road.
Oh yeah.
And you know, it's a winding road, and parts of that are 30 mile an hour, parts of that are 45 mile an hour, and you're coming around a turn at 45 mile an hour, and you see people on bikes and they're using up the whole lane.
Yep.
That's a bit so. They've got every right to use the road, and I don't begrudge them one bit, but at the same time, it's a little bit crazy to me to be out there in the middle of the lane,
blocking the road
like they are. So let me break. If I know they're there, if I know they're there, I'm going to operate more carefully.
Sure.
So just on Saturday mornings, it seems like several times I've seen bicyclists on the mountain. One time it was particularly foggy, and I thought bikes should not be
That's a
should not be on
recipe
a,
for
on a
disaster,
mountain in
isn't
the
it?
fog. But
Yeah, that's
you
just
know,
unsafe.
It may not have been foggy when they left, so it's hard to say.
Right.
That's one of those situations where,
Weather can come up quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, in any case, next on our list we have Noonan 40 Orestes in Palmetto. Noonan. Noonan.
I thought we called on
Well, it's
him.
easier to say than Orestes. Orestes, do you have any questions or comments about Part 90 or Part 95 radios?
Hey guys, how you doing today? I'm relatively new. I've only been a GMRS member for a little over a year, so I'm not quite sure about all these Part 95s, Part 97s. I just know not to get on and stay away from amateur radios. I guess that's Part 90. I got a Redavis RA87, so I'm hoping that's a Part 95 as far as I can tell. But I'm learning this stuff as we go along, and I haven't participated in any listening to amateur radio yet because I just don't have the feel for it right now, but I want to eventually get to it one day, but needing to know exactly what type of radio is authorized with amateur and what kind is authorized with GMRS. Like I said, I'm new to this stuff. I don't read up on it. I just listen to other people talking about it and try to keep myself legal and only get legal radios that I am able to utilize. So any information that's helpful to what type of radio I need to be using and only need to be using with GMRS, and that would help me out a whole great deal, and I appreciate that. So back to you, Nat.
Well, I'll tell you, Orestes, you've got some great neighbors and lots of folks on the network that would be happy to help you out at any point along the way. So if you're looking at buying a radio and you're not sure, just ask somebody on the radio on the network, or one of your GMRS neighbors could stop by maybe and help you go through some of that. But in general, the answer to your question for amateur radio, if you're considering getting an amateur license and you want to know what radio you can and can't use in amateur radio, basically anything that transmits within the frequency permissions that your particular license is good for is okay to use. And when you think about it, back in the day, ham radio operators often built their own radios
From scratch.
from pieces of wire and vacuum tubes and goofy pieces of semiconductor or multi-metal pieces of just scrap that they could find. So radios were very experimental because just getting a radio to work to receive was an accomplishment. Transmitting was something altogether different. So in amateur radio, pretty much anything goes, as long as you don't transmit beyond your license class. And so what that means is that if you are a technician and you are operating in general class frequencies, you could get in trouble for that. If you're working with a group of hams, they will endeavor to keep you out of trouble. So, getting involved in a ham radio club would be a great way to engage in radio at that level. As far as in GMRS, making sure that you're legal in GMRS. I don't know for sure, but I think that Redavis radio is a Part 95 radio. Did either of you guys look it up?
It is. I just looked it up, and it is. Yeah, it is legal for GMRS. So
you're good. Yeah. You're whoever suggested you buy that radio steered you in the right direction, and you're good. If you figured that on your own, then even better. As far as what radios you should buy, in the future, I would recommend Hobbit Communications, and anything you buy from Hobbit will be a radio that you can use both in GMRS and in amateur service because it'll be certified as a Part 90 radio. At some point, these radios might even gain Part 95 certification. Now that Kenwood knows that we're using them in that frequency spectrum, they may go ahead and get them certified. I don't know whether they will or not, but they may. And so operate in confidence that you're on the right track. And the longer you listen, the longer you engage in GMRS, the more you're going to learn. And I think that after a year or two of being a GMRS user, you've already halfway there in terms of knowledge to being able to get an amateur license. Let's break. So with that in mind, Orestes, I think you're in good shape, and I think that it's all up to you what you want to do as far as next steps or next radios. One thing I want to point out: there's an FCC website, and maybe you guys can find this. I don't know. Let me break here real quick.
Put us on the spot.
The type database. Yep, type acceptance database.
There's an FCC website that you can use to search for type acceptance on your radio. And if you look at, I don't think I have a radio handy. If you look at a radio, oftentimes with an HT, there's an FCC ID number under the battery. Pop the battery out, look at the FCC ID number on the radio. You can plug that into the website, and that will come back with what type certifications that radio has, if any. It might not have any. And if it doesn't have any, then you're good as far as ham radio goes. If it's a Part 90 or a Part 95 radio, then you're good as far as GMRS goes. But you want to be sure that when you're doing that, you're looking at the FCC.gov website. There are some other websites that are like .io or .so. And basically what they do is they collect data from the FCC, like each night, and then they republish that data. And I have been on those sites and gotten bad information. I've seen where they've showed radios that are certified that actually are not. So make sure that when you're looking at the FCC's website, the .gov website, and not one of those.
Is it just FCC ID?
I think the FCC ID, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think, yep. So if you search, you're going to put in your, I can't quite read that.
It's got guaranteed code and
the grantee code.
Or product code.
Yeah, so the product code is a field that you're going to want. So there's going to be an FCC ID number in your radio. You'll punch it into the product code. You'll hit search, and it'll come back and it'll tell you. Did anybody bring a radio in here?
I don't have a
No.
radio. Your Anytone's not in there?
We're a bunch of radio nerds, and we don't have one in here.
I've got one in my go bag in the car.
Yeah, in the car.
Yeah.
What use is it there, though?
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah,
well, check out that
exactly.
website, and if you can punch in your radio's FCC ID number into that, leave out the hyphens and the extra characters, and you should be able to identify what your radio is. And if you're in there and you're having trouble figuring it out because it's not super intuitive.
It's a government website.
It's a government website. So just reach out over the air. Houston, Tim, Dana. There's a handful of people that are going to be monitoring most days that can help you get through and sort out why you can't get your FCC ID number on that website. So that's I think the last piece of advice that I have. And that's the end of our roster. So let's check in one more time with Atlanta 6-0 before he goes to bed. And maybe it's too late. I'm not sure. We'll check in with Gary, and then we'll take one last round of check-ins right after that. Atlanta 6-0.
Well, it's been a great net, and I've enjoyed hanging out with you guys and going over all this technical, deep, in-the-weeds information. But it's very important that folks do spend some time with, if they're involved in GMRS, that they sit down with Part 95 and read through there, and it'll spell out what their obligations and requirements are and what they can expect as far as how things operate, and that's very important. I don't have anything else unless somebody wants to get an overview of what all's been going on for the past week or so. We've had some repairs we've put in place, and it's been a busy week, that's for sure. I'm looking forward to not having to do anything tomorrow, then maybe go swimming.
Good deal.
All right. What time does the pool open tomorrow?
Well, that pool's open 24/7. No problem at all.
All right. The pool's open 24/7. We just have to wait for the bar to open, and we'll all come and enjoy the poolside activities. I think that'll be great. All right. Well, let's go ahead and take one last round of check-ins and see if there's any questions or comments out there. Actually, before we do that, Ed, do we have any comments or questions from the chat that we should bring to the air?
Yes, I do. I thought you'd never ask.
I almost never asked.
I know. I would have reminded you. So first, I want to add to something you said, Justin, earlier when we were talking about ARA and the 440 network. I want to make sure that people understand there's a real good affinity between the 70 centimeter ham band, which is in that 440 range, and what ARA, North Georgia Amateur Radio Association, uses for most of the repeaters, and GMRS. So what that means is if you have a Part 90 radio, such as the ones that Hobbit sells, but any of the Kenwoods and other Part 90s, chances are that radio will be able to be used, same radio for both ARA and NG GMRS. If you belong to both of them, you can use the same radio. The antennas can also be tuned such that the SWR is good enough to use on both bands. So you can get a radio antenna combination like I do in my car that allows me to use one radio, one antenna for both ARA repeaters and North Georgia GMRS repeaters without a problem. So that I think people need to understand. So that if you do get your ham ticket at a technician level, you can use pretty much all the repeaters that we have online. And chances are, if you get the right radio antenna combination, it's one set of equipment for both the band on the ham side and North Georgia GMRS. So just wanted to add that to the comments that we talked about earlier. As far as YouTube comments and questions, just want to recognize Stephen, Rome 27. He's attending his first net, so welcome, Stephen, and hope you make all the future ones as well as your time permits. Patrick had a question about and I'm not sure now how to pronounce it, the Ocean 935G Plus, whether that's Part 90, Part 95, and legal to use. And I think we were just showing the website that Patrick can use to put in that information from the back of that radio, and you'll be able to determine the legality of it as far as it goes for GMRS use. And then just a comment from Badger NNN, and I'm sorry I didn't get a name, but Eau Claire, Wisconsin. He's joining us on YouTube, and was just saying that he wishes that they had a repeater system like North Georgia GMRS out there in Wisconsin. So welcome Badger NNN as well to the net. That's it.
Very good. Let's break. Glad to have you along tonight, Badger, and look forward to having you on the net as we go. And I got to tell you, the only thing that stops your community from having a network like this one is somebody to just go out there and do it. And that's what we had here. Gary, back in 2007, Gary learned that there was this thing called GMRS. He did some investigating. He found a single repeater in the area. He learned that repeater was offline more than it was online. It was in trouble a lot of the time. And so because it was so unreliable, he decided to go ahead and stand one up himself. And then he put up a second one and a third one. And when I met Gary back in 2016, I think he had close to 24 repeaters on the air and operating. And most of them were linked. We've been linking since 2012. So we were linked, we were unlinked, we had different technologies of linking stuff in the works. For the longest time we had two great repeaters. We had one at Sassafras and we had one at Pine Log, and they had very similar footprints but not identical. And back in those days when we did nets, we did them on every other night on every other repeater, and we did nets 5 nights a week, and
oh wow,
and it was 20, 30-minute nets that were basically just a check-in net.
Sure.
Things have changed a lot over the years, and now we have the largest linking network system in the country. And but there's nothing that stops another group from building out a linked network. One of the advantages that we have, I think, is that rather than having a club or a committee or a voting body that determines what we do in terms of direction and operation of the assets of this club, we have basically Gary. It all comes down to what Gary wants to do. So if the money is there, and he feels like the support will be there in terms of membership, and somebody wants to add a repeater to our network, and they can find a location for us to operate on, we'll definitely consider it. So the growth of the network, kind of at this point, is really up to the community. If we find a location, it seems like it's going to be something that will have good support. We'll definitely consider adding additional repeaters. Are we out hunting for locations to put up? No, we're really not.
But maybe if you're on the outskirts of the network and you can have a bunch of people that are interested, maybe we can get together and, like I said, find a location.
Find a location. So location is 9/10 of it, and it has to be a location that's suitable to us, right? So we're not going to pay $1,200 a month in rent. It's just not going to happen because we consider. Oh, let's break. When you consider what it takes to be able to rent a site at commercial rates, we don't have anywhere near the dues cost or the membership levels to do that. So we don't want to raise the dues anymore. We don't mind expanding the membership. We're not out hunting for anybody and everybody to become a member. We're looking for quality members rather than the quantity of members. And I think that we've gone to great lengths to achieve that. I think that the quality of people that we have as members of North Georgia GMRS stands above. And when you take a look at the content on the Facebook page and how absolute minimal moderation goes into that, I mean, almost none. These are a group of people that are very respectful and very supportive and helpful to one another. And I think that like I say, it just polices itself. There's no moderation that we're doing. We're not going down and pulling down comments or posts and stuff like that. It just, we do pull down people. If people are on there and they misbehave, out.
Yep.
We just don't tolerate it. So, but that doesn't happen very much. I think we've probably, removed less than 10 people off the Facebook page over the last 10 years.
Wow.
So there again, I think that goes a long way towards the quality of people that we have. Let me acknowledge this last little round of YouTube check-ins, and then we'll take some additional check-ins. We have WSJE969 Patrick. I'm not sure where he's from, but he's a YouTube check-in. Same thing with, Fred's from Canton. WSMT373, Fred's a guest checking in on YouTube tonight. WRXK852 Charles. Also no location, but that's all right. We have Atlanta 379 Scott from Sandy Creek, New York. We have Atlanta 14 Jeremy from Woodstock. We have WSNG 395 Ernest in Cleveland. We have Atlanta 420 William in Roswell. And we have WSIG 404 Badger NNN in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Those are our additional YouTube check-ins. Let's take one last round of questions, comments, additional check-ins. Net control standing by.
Atlanta 849 comment.
We both.
Yeah, I see that. That's all right.
Sorry.
It'll be okay. It's all we get? It's late. It's after 9 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
I feel like I've got
2 more
something
comments on YouTube.
in my eye. 2 more on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I don't see them.
The Rayburn.
Rayburn.
County.
Do we have a repeater?
That might be Dana might be able to answer that one.
And then Blue Ridge area.
Oh, comments.
Yeah. Rayburn County.
All right. All we heard for additional check-ins, questions, or comments was Pamela, Atlanta 849. So, Pamela, we've also got a couple of comments on YouTube. We'll come to after Pamela. But Pamela, go ahead with your question or your comment, and we'll see what we can do.
Thank you, guys. It's been a great net. WROB 245-849. I continued until about 8:30 or so, but listening to it, I picked up a lot of information and revisited a lot of information that I've heard before, but didn't really sink in, and I really got a lot out of it. I got to hear Gary some and y'all talking, so I'm glad you did that, because I know we got a lot of new members out there, and even though I've been here a while, I'm still trying to learn all of it. Let me break. So I appreciate y'all coming back with that, and I kind of was talking that before dinner with a maybe potential lady friend and her sister who has some HTs that I got to find out more about and see about getting them on and finding out what's going on. And thank you for all the information, and I'll hand it back to you.
All right. Yeah, I tell you, Jim, how many days in a week go by that you don't learn something new?
Oh, I hope none of them. No.
I mean, if you're paying attention, you're
Right.
probably going to learn something.
You're going to learn something.
So,
Good or bad.
Good or bad, right?
Correct.
You know, and sometimes it's simple stuff that we don't really even think about. Sometimes it's more complicated. Things about my job. I learned. Here's something I learned last week in the work that I do. I've been doing this for a long time, and I know a lot about what I do, but I didn't know that at a holdout signal, the mile pole has to exactly match the signal mile pole in order for track authorities to paint correctly.
Oh.
To paint?
To display correctly on the dispatcher's board. So if that mile pole value is even slightly different than the signal value, then it leaves a hole in the track that is unpainted. And it appears as though part of the track is unprotected by the track authority. But that's not the case. It is protected. But in order to make it look right, that small detail has to be exactly... And I just, I've been doing this for a long time.
Huh.
I should know stuff like that.
Well, you learn something new every day, though.
Every day.
If we pay attention.
If we pay attention.
Yeah.
That's right. So you got to have your brain engaged and have a little bit of awareness about what's going on. And there's no end to what you might learn. So, Ed, what are the 2 comments that you said we had from YouTube?
Well, the first one is from Comms Prepper 1, and he wanted to know if we had any repeaters up in the Rayburn County, Georgia area.
That covers that area.
And then the second question from AJ wanted to know if there's any interest in adding a repeater up in the Blue Ridge area.
Okay. So I believe...
I pulled Rayburn County up. That's Rayburn County.
Where is Toccoa at in relationship to that?
I think it's just south. So there's Cleveland.
Oh, Toccoa's going to be way, way east of there. All right.
East?
Yeah, that's going to be tough for us to cover from anything that we already have. Now, we do have...
because do we cover Blairsville?
Yes, yes, we do. We don't cover it real well. So, but if you're on a high ridge line in Blairsville, you'll be fine. If you're behind the ridge, you're not going to get it. And that's kind of true in all of that area. So if you're in Rayburn County and you're on a ridge, you'll probably hear one of our repeaters, or maybe several.
Right.
But we had a location at Lula, and that may have covered Rayburn County, but we lost that site due to that was a commercial site, and is this Toccoa right here?
Toccoa Falls, yes, right here.
Oh, that's Toccoa Falls.
Well, no, Toccoa is right under it.
Let's break.
Yeah, let's break. So Toccoa right there on the maybe
Let me
maybe that is
zoom
it.
in.
So we do have a repeater at Toccoa.
Toccoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if that repeater at Toccoa will cover Rayburn County or if I'm thinking of another Toccoa.
It has a pretty good footprint.
So comms prepper, maybe check out the website and get up the stuff for the Toccoa repeater. It should be listed in there in the list, and program that and see if you can get in.
Yeah, definitely give that a try. Yeah. What was the other comment, Ed?
The other one
Blue
was
Ridge.
interest in putting a repeater up in the Blue Ridge area.
So yes, we had a repeater site secured in the Blue Ridge area, and that kind of fell through. So we had a repeater in Blue Ridge at one point in time, but the tower condition, the condition at the site was horrible.
Yeah.
And so we took our equipment off of that site. It kept getting blown up by lightning. The tower itself was not well taken care of. We did a lot of maintenance on that tower. There's a lot more maintenance that needs to be done. That tower may or may not still be standing. But we're off of it, and so that's, I think, what we're looking for in that area. We're interested in being there. We just need a better site. And for whatever reason, I had it in my mind. I was thinking of McKaysville, that we had something over in there, but we don't. But that's what I had in mind when he said Toccoa, that Toccoa was over there by McKaysville. It's not. So, yeah, I think, yeah, so on top of a mountain, I think you're right. You in that area, if you're on a mountaintop, you should be able to get into our network. But if you're not, it's going to be tough.
I like his call sign though.
If you're, yeah, well,
it's very close.
that works.
N4TWT.
All right. Well, Jim, do you have the script open to close out tonight's net?
He's like, script? What script? We have a script.
Absolutely. And that concludes the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. We had a total of
72 minus 3.
72 minus
3.
So about 70. Net control will now be returning the repeaters to normal use. Everyone who signed in should sign out.
I think we have one here we didn't call. We've got.
Hey guys.
Yeah, go ahead,
Ed.
Yeah, before you sign off, Gary has a comment.
Gary.
So maybe go back to him one last time.
Go ahead, comment.
I thought we went to him one last time. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I'm back, guys. To answer the question on Blue Ridge, we have pending plans in 2027 to erect a dual site, both GMRS and ARA, in a little town in Ducktown, Tennessee, which is right across the border, just a little bit north of Blue Ridge itself. And we're hoping that that will add some coverage to the northern end of Blue Ridge. But it's a little location already up there we're working on, and it's going to come to fruition later on in the year next year, and that's in Ducktown, Tennessee.
There we go. All right.
All right. Well, that's great information.
We knew that. We just forgot it.
Yeah, we forgot
I remember
think
Ducktown. What he said,
It's actually
Ducktown.
listed on the ARA repeater list.
Oops.
And,
well, that doesn't cover GMRS side.
Well, it sounds like
it's going to.
Dual.
Yeah, we're gonna slip the GMRS repeater in. Don't tell anybody.
Outstanding.
Yeah, when we put that one up. So, good stuff. Well, that's very good. All right. Well, thank you, Gary, and thanks, Ed. There was the N4TWT. I don't think we acknowledged. Do we have any idea?
That was the Badger comment. No, that was Comms Pepper out the Raven County.
Okay. All right. Well, we got him in the log, and thanks for that. All right. Let's go ahead and close it up.
Again.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and give us a share so that others will see the YouTube live stream. Remember, comments on YouTube videos show engagement, and the video helps the channel grow. Tune in next week on any North Georgia Amateur Radio Association's Linked repeater, or on YouTube live stream when we talk about football.
That's right. What, soccer?
No, the American kind.
Ah, the violent version
Yes.
of football. All right. Hey, football season's right around the corner, and so one of the things that I see happening is I see a lot of people talking about fantasy football leagues now because they're trying to build up, what their team's going to look like and what the options are for fantasy football for this season. So I think this would be a great time to talk about football, and now that football is over, we can talk about football.
Real football.
Yeah. So American football.
Correct.
That'll be good. All right.
All right. Also, be sure to participate in the Friday Night Simplex Challenge on the Monument Repeater. And if you have an amateur license, be sure to join the Simplex Challenge on the N4KHQ repeater. Don't forget Saturday night sessions on the North Georgia Amateur Radio Network. Thank you. Thank you all for allowing us to serve as your net control this evening. Good night, everyone. This is WSAM 231, Atlanta 180, Jim.
And this is WQIR 514, Atlanta 946, Justin.
And this is Atlanta 1150, WRZV 748, Tony.
This is WSAL 368, Atlanta 263, Rogers.
And we are.
We got two more.
Oh, my bad.
We got two other ones.
Who left?
I like the way that was sounding.
They don't like that.
I warmed up too quick.
I thought Dana might have been asleep, so I didn't know.
Well, that woke him up.
To close it out, this is WRQ G806, Atlanta 557. Ed, good night.
And WRWK 619, Dana, Atlanta 250. Have a good night, folks.
Maybe I should wear the hat, Dana.
We got a break before you close.
Okay.
And we are the North Georgia GMRS Network, and we are clear.
Good night, everyone.
Night, guys.
All
Good
right.
night.
Hey, 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 hey.